Jen here from Hooked on Homemade Happiness. Welcome back to my channel. Today in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this really easy ribbed pumpkin. This pattern only uses single crochet stitches and single crochet back loop only, which I will show you how to do in the tutorial. It is made from a rectangle, so there are no increases or decreases, not really much shaping involved. So it's very easy, perfect for a beginner who wants to try making some fun fall decor. And for this pattern, I'm going to be using a super bulky weight 6 yarn. This is from We Crochet. It's called Alla Prima. I'm using the color Rustic Hills. It is only 52 yards for this skein, and we will use the entire skein for this one pumpkin. So if you wanted to make your pumpkin larger and you were using this yarn, you will need a second skein for that. We will also be using a 9mm crochet hook. Some brands call it an M, some call it an N, but it is a 9mm. You can use any weight yarn that you like or any other super bulky weight. So if you wanted to use Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick, that would also work really well for this pumpkin pattern. If you wanted to use a worsted weight yarn or just a regular bulky, a bulky number 5, that would work as well. You will want to adjust your hook size accordingly. I just use the hook size that was recommended by my yarn. So if you do change your yarn, just go ahead and use the hook size that's recommended by on the yarn label of whatever yarn you're using. And if you do use a smaller weight yarn, your pumpkin will come out smaller if you use the same stitch counts and everything that we're using with this really bulky yarn. So just keep that in mind if you want to use a smaller weight yarn for your pumpkin. A few other things that you will need for this pumpkin is scissors and a yarn needle, a little bit of polyfill, and I like to use a cinnamon stick for the pumpkin stem. You can use whatever you like for the stem, but this is what I like to use. And then you also might want maybe some hot glue or fabric glue to glue the cinnamon stick or whatever you use for the stem onto the pumpkin. I'm going to go ahead and get started by getting my yarn on my hook. I'm going to start with a chain of 16. So here's my starting chain of 16, and now for row 1 we are going to single crochet across. I'm going to start in the second chain from my hook. I'm going to turn my chain over this way. 1, 2. I'm going to insert my hook here in the second chain from my hook and insert my hook here. Pull up a loop and then yarn over and pull through 2. And there is my first single crochet. My chain 1 here does not count as a stitch. So now I'm going to single crochet across my chain. I'm going to insert my hook into my next chain here, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2 for my second single crochet. I'm going to do that across my chain. So here I have row 1. I single crocheted in each chain across, and you should have 15 single crochet for row 1. Now row 2, we're going to start creating the ribbing effect on our pumpkin. I will chain 1 and turn. The chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so my very first stitch is going to go in this very first single crochet here. I'm going to insert my hook into the very first single crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2 for my first single crochet. Now in the next stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet back loop only. So let me just pull up my hook. So when we look at our next stitch here on the top, you can see the 2 top loops. So when it's facing this way, this is considered the front loop, and this is the back loop. I'm going to be inserting my hook only in this back loop, and the back loop is just whichever loop is facing away from you. So when my work is turned this way as I work this direction, this one closest to me is the front loop, and then the one furthest from me is my back loop. And that's where I'm going to be inserting my hook in the next 13 stitches across, or across until you get to the last single crochet. I'm going to insert my hook only into this back loop here, so I just have one loop on my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then finish off that single crochet. And you can see what that does is it pushes this front loop out even further, closer towards the outside, and it's going to be creating that ribbing effect. So again, I'm going to insert my hook only in this back loop and single crochet. Single crochet, back loop only. We're going to do that in each stitch across to the very last stitch. So here I did the single crochet back loop only all the way across to the very last stitch. Now here's my last stitch. I'm going to do a regular single crochet in this last one. So here's both my top loops. I'm going to insert my hook into both those top loops. And then single crochet. Whenever I'm doing ribbing, I like to start and end my row with regular stitches and then doing the back loop onlys in the middle. It just gives it for a really nice clean edge on either side. And this row here that we just did, row 2, is actually the pattern repeat for the remainder of the pumpkin. So we're going to repeat that. I'll show you one more time, and then I'll let you go ahead and continue repeating that row. I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then we will single crochet in the very first stitch, regular single crochet, and then single crochet back loop only in the next 13, or across until you get to the last stitch. So here's my back loop only here, and single crochet. Again here, back loop only, here's my back loop only, and single crochet. We're going to repeat that all the way across the row. So here I've repeated that all the way across to the very last stitch here, where I will do a regular single crochet. And you're going to repeat that now to row 27. So go ahead and continue single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet back loop only in 13, and then single crochet in the last stitch, and repeat that to row 27. So here I have finished repeating that row to row 27. So now I have a rectangle. I'm going to be folding it and crocheting these two sides together to create a tube. I'm going to take where I left off, and I'm going to chain 1 and then turn my work, and then I'm going to bring the bottom up this way, and I'm going to slip stitch these two sides together. I'm going to insert my hook into the inside loops of these two sides. I'm going to do the inside inner loop here and the inside loop here. I'm going to yarn over and pull it through, and then pull the first loop through the second loop for a slip stitch. So here's my next 2 stitches here. Here's in the row here, and then here's the other side. I'm going to insert my hook into the inside loops. So kind of like back loop only, but just the 2 loops that are touching, and then slip stitch. I'm going to repeat that across. Sewing these 2 ends together using a slip stitch. So here I have finished sewing that together with my slip stitch. I'm going to take my yarn. I'm going to leave a little bit of a long piece and trim that and then pull that through. Now I'm going to sew the bottom and the top to create a pumpkin. I'm going to take my end here at the bottom, and this is very thick yarn, so you might want to make sure you have a nice thick needle. And sometimes, especially with this kind of yarn, there's not much of a twist, so you have to be careful that it doesn't unravel on you. So I'm going to thread this end through my needle. And here is my opening. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to weave it in and out of the bottom here. Just going to pull it through every so often. So weaving it in and out along the bottom. And again, this yarn, if you're using this yarn or this type of yarn, doesn't have much of a twist. All the strands are just kind of loosely laying on top of each other. So be very careful when you're pulling it. It will very easily pull apart and break. So don't tug too hard. I'm going to go all the way around. All right, I'm back to the beginning here. And now, see, my strands are kind of felted together. There we go. I'm going to just pull it gently here to close it up. Don't want to pull too hard because these strands will come apart. So now I'm going to take it a little bit more. And I'm going to sew it closed now. So I'm just going to put my yarn through there. And then I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go this way. No. And then I'm also going to go diagonally here. I don't have much lengthy left, but I'm going to try and go once more along the bottom this way. Okay. I am sure that is sufficient. So I'm going to go ahead and just tie a knot. I didn't leave myself enough yarn, but we're going to make it work. Just put my needle through there. There we go. And then I'm just going to hide this end on the inside. There we go. Okay. So now I have one side secure. I'm going to start stuffing it now with my polyfill. It always takes a lot more than I anticipate. But we do want to make sure that we could still close up our pumpkin. So we don't want to make it too full because we are going to be closing it up at the top. And we want to make sure that we have plenty of space to do that. Add a little bit more here. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing to the top that I did to the bottom. I'm going to thread my yarn needle through this end. Hopefully this end works a little better for me. I don't run out. And now I'm going to do the same thing I'm going to weave this in and out so that I can cinch it closed. So there I have cinched it closed. I feel like I still have room in there for more. So I'm going to add more because it will deflate over time. So I'm going to cinch it up. Again, be careful with this yarn if you're using this type. If you're using regular yarn, you could probably pull a lot tighter than you can with this. So now I have it closed up. I'm going to sew the top closed just like I did at the bottom, but I'm not going to fasten it off. I'm just going to run it through a few times just like I did before. Going in all directions. Put this way again. There we go. And then I'm going to go diagonal. I can get it. There we go. And then I'm going to go this way. Oh, and there it ripped. There you have it. All right, so what I'm going to do, it's a little lopsided. I'm going to tie this off because I'm not done yet. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this off, and I'm going to get another strand. So there we go. So now you should still have an end on yours. I don't have one on mine, so I'm going to get one. So with your end that's still attached, now what we're going to do, we're going to weave our end through the bottom, through the other side to make our pumpkin be kind of squatty like this. So take your end and you're going to have to squeeze it nice and tight, and you're going to have to feel around for that needle coming out the other side. Oops. There it is. And pull it through. I pulled it through to the other side, and now I'm going to push it back through, back to where I started on this end. Give it a good squeeze. Push it through. There we go. I'm going to give it a tug so that it makes it nice and squatty. See how it kind of just changed that shape a little bit? And you can do it a couple more times if you would like it squattier. I'm going to go ahead and tie mine off, keeping it pulled as tight as I can. I'm going to tie it in a knot here. There we go. Give a nice squatty pumpkin. Now to hide this, I'm actually going to shorten it because it's a little bit long. I'm going to go ahead and shorten it at this point. And now I'm going to just put it back in the center here and then just kind of find my way out the other end. And I'm going to pull it through. Just like that. And I'm going to take this end, pull it out a little bit, trim it, and then just give your pumpkin a little fluff. And then the end will hide right in there. So now you're ready for your cinnamon stick or whatever you're using for the stem. Decide which side you like best. I definitely like this side. And go ahead and get some fabric glue or hot glue and pop that on there. And here you have your adorable ribbed pumpkin. It's so easy, made from a rectangle. It can be made in any size. Just go ahead and change as many chains as you like to make it taller, and then continue repeating those rows of single crochet back loop only until it is the width that you're looking for. I hope you enjoy this pattern, and I hope you get to make lots of fun, cute pumpkins for your house this year. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.